She's the friend who'll show up with coffee or wine when you need it most, but probably wine. Good vibes are on the way. Welcome to Aaron O'Malley's Feel Good Frequency.
Hi, welcome back to Aaron O'Malley's Feel Good Frequency. It is so great to have you here. I am beyond thrilled to have this next guest spend some time with me. We spent so much time, actually, that I have to break this into a two-part episode because we talked for over an hour. And honestly, I could have talked to her all day long. In 2002, I prayed for this stranger harder than I've probably ever prayed for any stranger in my life for a safe return. And somehow, some way, that happened. And there's a very good chance that you were praying for her as well. I am so happy to report that she is not only using what happened to her to help others, but she is thriving in her own life. Without any more words from me, please enjoy this incredible chat with this beautiful woman. Most of us know your name, but I would love for you to introduce who you are.
Well, my name is Elizabeth Smart. Most people know me as the girl from Utah who was kidnapped back in 2002 and who survived and was found in 2003. My life did not end there, believe it or not. Um, I I went on to become an advocate in the space of anti-sexual exploitation and abduction. I'm now married. I have 3 kids. I like working out. I like eating food, and I like having really good conversations.
I remember crying when you were found. It was such a great day. Obviously, you have had an incredible life and you've gone on to do such great things. And I'm going to get to all that because I'm just so proud of you. I'm like big sister proud, and I don't even really know you, but I'm so proud of what you have accomplished and what you're still doing. It's just incredible. But I wanted to unpack the heavy stuff first because I know that there's a lot of it that started it out. In 2002, you were in eighth grade, is that right?
Yes, yes. I was in 8th grade in 2002.
And when that horrible person took you out of your room in the middle of the night and you were 3 miles away from your house in the woods, and so many times I read that helicopters were right over your tent.
Yeah, they were so close. I mean, the trees would shake, the tent would shake. I mean, felt like they were right on top of us.
And then he was just so good at manipulation and at hiding you that he would make sure that you couldn't get out along with his wife. The helicopters were so close. And then they were gone. And I don't know what that feeling would have been like.
Sometimes you really don't have a choice but to move forward. I mean, in that moment, I didn't really have a choice. It's not like I could say, I'm taking a break from this and time out. I
Right.
mean, my only choice was to survive or die.
I guess I was just so impressed that at 14, you knew, okay, the only way I'm going to get through this, the best way for me to move forward is to take it a minute at a time, a day at a time, and do what they say and figure out a way for me to be in front of people. It's so remarkable that you were so smart as a 14-year-old. Like, I don't know that you give yourself credit for that. And I saw and read that there were times when you were just like, I don't know how much longer I can handle this. But you did. You didn't ever try to figure out a way to not be here anymore. And that is awe-inspiring. When I think of the fact that everybody has their own battles, everyone's going through something that we have no idea about. And I love the faith that you have. And I wonder what life would have been like for you in that if you didn't have the family you have. Your family is wonderful.
I mean, I do truly feel so blessed to have had the family I had growing up. I really feel like they made a huge difference in my ability to move forward after I was rescued. I mean, in my ability to survive, just because I believe they'd still love me after everything. I don't think everybody has that. And we see today where most cases of abuse comes from someone that you know, someone potentially that you trust, and how much more difficult would that be? I can't imagine how I mean on a humanity kind of level, yes, I felt betrayed, but on a deeper level for those survivors who are betrayed by, like, in a sexual manner, in an abduction kind of way, how much deeper is that betrayal? I think it's so important. I always say, like, if you weren't born, if your biological family is not like surrounding you, supporting you, like helping you if they're abusive or they don't take an interest, find your family. Everyone needs a family. And sometimes, unfortunately, we have to find them.
Wow, that's so true. And it's so insightful. I love that you say that. By the way, your two books are freaking ridiculously good. I read there was a police officer that you had a veil on and he came over to you and wanted to see your face because he was looking for you. Was that in the library or something?
Yep, that was in the Salt Lake Public Library.
Brian David Mitchell wouldn't allow you to remove it.
Yes. Yep.
And somehow the police officer was okay with that because Brian was blaming it on religion or something.
Exactly. I mean, he was very, like, he could be very persuasive when he wanted to be. Like, I think he recognized what people's sensitivities were. And actually, if you step back and look at that time period, I mean, 9/11 had just happened. By the time we were approached by the police officer, I mean, it was probably about a year before. It had only been a year.
Right.
And I was only in junior high when it happened, but even from my junior high perspective, it seemed like everyone just became a lot more sensitive about religion, and definitely any kind of extremism or any kind of religion that people viewed as extreme. I mean, it scared people, it worried people. And I think that my captors recognized that, and they were able to really kind of manipulate people and prey on people's fears in that way to get what they wanted. So I think that police officer probably felt like he was being put between a rock and a very hard place in that moment. Like, did I want to be saved and rescued? 1000% yes, absolutely. Of course I did. But also, like, here this man is saying it's part of his religion. Um, that I'm his daughter. Like, he's saying, it's almost like he's ticking boxes um, for reasons for why the police officer should believe him and walk away without pushing too hard.
Yeah, and it's like he was prepared for it. That's what's so crazy about it. Oh, if they ask, this is what I'm going to say.
This wasn't a spur of the moment decision for him. This was a role he had been playing for years. So
Yep.
it wasn't hard. He could be convincing.
To hear you say that and to try to imagine what that was like to watch the officer walk away. But like you said, every time you felt like you hit rock bottom, it somehow got worse. And the mantra that you said in your head of my family will always love me no matter what, I love that you kept thinking that can't be taken away. Whatever he takes away, he can't take that away. And that's so wise. That's so smart. And then he ended up taking you to California and then somehow did you convince him to go back to Utah? That's
Yes.
so brilliant. God, I was so proud when I read that.
I mean, because they had actually tried to kidnap um, a girl in California, and he fortunately was not successful. But I mean, like, I never was going to be enough. Oop, sorry.
I was like, hi.
There's my ceiling.
It's very pretty.
I never was going to be enough. Like, he he always had a plan to go out and kidnap more girls. And he was talking of new cities that he wanted to go to try kidnapping. I mean, he mentioned Boston, he mentioned New York, mentioned Philadelphia, like the really big East Coast cities. And I mean, all I could think of was, okay, nobody found me when I was in Utah. No one's found me while we've been in California. My best chance of survival, my best chance of being found would be to go back to Utah. Why would anyone think to look for me in New York? Why would anyone think to look for me in Boston or Philadelphia? Like, there's no reason why anyone would think to look for me there. And I mean, I had watched them for 9 months. I watched how they justified what they did. I watched how they got away with everything that they did. And I just remember thinking, if it can work for them, surely it can work for me. I mean, I already
So
know it's wrong.
smart.
You don't need to tell me it's wrong. I know it's wrong, but if it can work
No,
for
I think
them,
it's so brilliant. You flipped the
like
script.
on a moral level though, like nobody should use religion to manipulate someone else.
Right. But in the
Yeah.
situation you were in, you had to do whatever you had to do to get home.
Yeah, and ultimately it did work, and that's how the decision was made to come home.
And thank God you did that, because then you get there, you're in Walmart to get provisions for you to live back in the woods where he said that was it. You're never going to leave those woods, which I can't even imagine what that felt like for you, the desperation you must have felt when he said that. And you're in Walmart the day you were rescued, and you quickly glanced over at a bulletin board or something and saw pictures of missing kids, and you didn't see yourself. And you thought, oh no, have they stopped looking for me?
Yeah, that is exactly what went through my head. I mean, yeah, he had said we're going back up into the mountains, you know, you're never coming out again. And almost at that point, like I guess I struggle to ever really believe anyone who speaks in finalities, because you never know what the future is going to hold. Like, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow, like next year, 5 years from now. So even though he did say you're never coming down, like, yes, absolutely, there was a chance that that could have happened. Like, he could have taken me up to the mountains, he could have killed me up there, and I would have never come down. But also, like, he hadn't killed me yet. It had been 9 months. Like, I felt like if I continued to comply with what he told me to do, then there was a good chance I'd stay alive. And at some point, like, I would come down out of the mountains again. I mean, just whether because he changed his mind or because of old age and he died and I outlived him, like, then I'd come down. So I mean, that certainly was not what I hoped happened, but and also just I was back in Utah. I was physically that much closer to being with my family again. So it was scary. It was, I mean, it did feel intimidating, but at the same time, there was also a lot of hope. I felt a lot of hope.
That's got to be more hopeful than being in an entirely different state and city. And you're coming out of Walmart, and all of a sudden you see all these police cars. What went through your head when you first saw the police cars? Please let them be for me.
No, at first I thought they weren't for me. At first I thought they were going to pull a car over or someone that was speeding or something. I didn't actually think it was for me. And then I remember seeing because, yeah, they came up and then they pulled over like a little bit ahead of us. And when they pulled over and they all got out and they started approaching us, I mean, there was a bit of fear there. No police officer had successfully rescued me yet. I didn't know why they were stopping us. I didn't know. I mean, my captors had stolen things out of Walmart. Had Walmart noticed? And were they sending the police after us? Um, yeah, I wasn't 100% sure why they were coming after us. So there was fear there for me. And then, I also knew what I had survived the last 9 months. I knew what my captors were capable of. And I didn't know these officers. I didn't know if they were actually capable of protecting me. I didn't know if they were like actually able to rescue me and remove me from the situation. There was a lot of unknown as they approached. I mean, there was a lot of emotion in that moment, and it wasn't all like happy, excited emotion. There was a lot of fear.
I can understand the fear probably got a little bit worse when you were put in the back of a police car and were you handcuffed?
Yeah, I was handcuffed.
I will never understand that till the day I die, but okay. And now you're in the back of a police car, you're taken to the police station, and they put you in a room and still didn't say anything?
I mean, my memory is that they didn't say anything. I mean, I remember that they had brought me into this small room. I had a wig on, and I remember they said I could take it off. So I did. But I don't really remember them saying anything else. I mean, it's possible that they could have, but I have no memory of it. I remember feeling like I was just sitting in this room, like didn't know what was going to happen next, didn't know what was going on, didn't know if I was in trouble. I thought I was in trouble. Um, yeah, it just felt confusing and scary to me.
Then he comes back and opens the door, and you see your dad.
Yes. And honestly, it felt like it happened so suddenly. I didn't know my dad was coming. I didn't know they were going to tell him. I remember thinking that if they had thought I was innocent, then they would have let me call my dad, or they would have just taken me directly home. Like,
Right.
why were they holding me at a police station if they thought I was innocent? Like, I didn't understand that part. So then when my dad came into the room, it was like it took me a little bit to respond just because it was such a surprise. But I mean, he didn't wait around. He just grabbed me and started hugging me and started crying and crying. And he just kept saying over and over, Elizabeth, is it really you? Is it really you?
Oh my God, that's
And
so beautiful.
yeah, I mean, I still didn't know like if everything was okay. I still didn't know if I was in trouble. But I remember just thinking in that moment that, if my dad's here, it's okay. My dad is here and he's not going to let anyone else hurt me ever again. It's going to be fine.
I can't imagine the love you felt, and then you went from seeing the bulletin board in Walmart and not seeing your face and thinking, "Oh, no, nobody's looking for me anymore." Then you found out that the whole country had been praying for you and looking for you and hoping for your family. Your dad, I just remember him on TV. I get chills when I think about it. He's like, "Just please bring her home." Your parents were both there a lot. Your dad, though, he was like America's dad. What was that like when you found out that not only were you too big to even be on the bulletin board, you had your own actual billboards, but that I feel like the whole world, even beyond country, the whole world was just praying for you. What was that like for you?
It was shocking. Like I had known people were looking for me while I was kidnapped because my captors would bring back like the posters to show me. They'd bring back newspaper articles about the search. So I knew people were looking for me, but I had no idea the extent to which people were looking for me. And that was probably one of the biggest adjustments coming home, was just having people recognize me when I'd go out to the grocery store, or like just as like I progressed through my life. I was shocked at just how many people cared about me and knew my story. It was unbelievable.
You did get thrown into the spotlight through no will or desire of your own, so that must have been a crazy adjustment to see just complete strangers in your front yard with cameras and everything else. Because again, you're a grown woman now, but you're 15 at that point looking around like, "Oh my gosh, I can't even go to school or to the store or the movies without people wanting pictures of me and stuff," and I can understand why you didn't want to talk about it publicly really ever. But then your dad was still using that platform. And I love this about him too, that he knew that there were other missing kids that weren't getting the same coverage that you did. And so he wanted to make sure that he helped look for them as well. And then what happened that kind of pulled you into that a little bit? Because I was reading that you were like, wait, where are you going? You're going to Congress when? Is that kind of how it started before the trial?
I mean, so I didn't really speak about my story before the trial, not never like in depth or in detail. But my dad, yeah, I mean, he would go and I'd be like, where are you going? And, it was, oh, I'm speaking at this or I'm speaking at that. And then he started asking me, like, what do you think about, what do you think about this legislation? Or what do you think about this conference? What do you think about this idea? Do you think this would have made a difference for you? And he started asking me those questions. And I mean, my family had always been, I would say, pretty big on service. I mean, my dad was always like, now when you get older and if you ever ask to borrow a car from like someone else, not necessarily my parents, but like a grandparent or something, you always should leave it better than you find it. So you make sure you fill it up with gas and you vacuum it out. Or um, like if you ever were allowed to go stay at someone's, I don't know, cabin or beach house, like you make sure you clean it better than how you found it. Or like he'd always volunteer us to, I don't know, like go help out in our church. Or my parents were always like, we have, like, you children have such a nice life, like it's important for you to like recognize other people don't have as much. So they're always like, this year we're giving our Christmas away, we're going to give our Christmas to a family that needs it. I have to admit I was not always a fan of that.
I don't blame you.
But no, my parents always just kind of set that example of thinking beyond yourself. And so as time passed, like I saw my dad continually going out and still trying to help these other families. And I mean, I remember cases shortly after my abduction, and he had asked me if I would want to go help search, and I remember we went and helped search on cases, and or if I had anything to say, or if I wanted to talk to the media about the specific missing cases. And that just kind of seemed to follow in the way that I had been raised. And so I feel like my dad kind of blazed a trail for me to move down this pathway into advocacy and looking at the bigger issues and not just thinking of myself.
Then you had that trial, which was 9 years later. So you got to live your life and do things which you so deserved to have that time. Is that what finally was the moment where you said, that's it? Were you just empowered to want to help others at that point?
I felt like I hadn't particularly wanted to um like be a witness. I didn't particularly want to like have to get up on the stand and talk about all the different things that happened to me, but I also had felt like it's gone on long enough. Like this needs to end. This chapter needs to be over. So if this is what it takes, then that's what I'm going to do. And that's how I just got through it, because I was like, I have to do this. Like there is not an option to not do this. So so I did it. And then afterwards, I mean, I remember during the trial going to the grocery store and there was a rack of magazines. And I mean, it was one of the gossip magazines. It wasn't like a reputable magazine. But nonetheless, on the cover of it, it said things like, Elizabeth Smarts admits she's a druggie and an alcoholic. During my testimony, like I had talked about how he had forced me to drink alcohol and he had forced me to smoke marijuana like once or twice. And
Yeah,
so I mean,
something like he wanted you to face the evil so you could feel the good or something ridiculous like that.
Exactly. But I remember just seeing that on like this magazine stand and just thinking, this is, well, first of all, that's ridiculous. But like my story is like it's a part of my life. Like
Mhm.
this is my life, and my life, I don't want it to be just for someone else's entertainment. There needs to be a reason for my story to be out there. And my story is more than just like a list of bullet points or facts. I mean, there was a lot that happened that, I mean, how could I convey everything that possibly happened, on the witness stand? I
Right.
was gone for 9 months. How could I talk everyone through? So I just felt like I needed to give a reason, have a better reason to share my story than for just like people's entertainment.
Right.
And that's really how I got more into sharing my story, starting the Elizabeth Smart Foundation, really trying to speak out on issues that I feel like are really important or that affected me.
And you started that foundation with your dad in 2011, right?
Yes.
So
Yep.
what's the purpose? Tell me about it because I love that you and your dad put that together.
Yeah. So I mean, I always wanted it to, like I always knew to some degree, I always wanted it to have some focus on but anti-sexual exploitation, because I think back of everything that I experienced during my kidnapping, and like the sexual abuse was the worst part. And after I was home, I felt like nobody else talked about it. I didn't know anyone else who had been sexually abused or raped. It just wasn't like a common topic of conversation.
Right.
And because nobody else talked about it, I ended up feeling very alone. I ended up feeling, even though I knew it wasn't my fault, I still felt a lot of shame around what had happened to me. And I didn't want people to know what had happened to me. And that was just, yeah, that was something that I really struggled with for a while. And I mean, I didn't even feel like I could tell people that I struggled with it, because that would have to mean that I was admitting that that was something that had happened to me, and I just didn't want people to look at me differently, so I just didn't ever say anything about it. But internally, like that was something I just felt a lot of shame, a lot of guilt, a lot of embarrassment around. And so when we started the foundation, I knew that I wanted it to focus really specifically on and around sexual abuse and exploitation. And, for many years, we weren't hugely active. We were more behind the scenes. We kind of helped connect people or other organizations to other people that we thought could be helpful to them. We supported different initiatives of different organizations, but then about 6 years ago, I just felt like I was in a place in my life where I really could step forward, move the foundation from more of a passive organization to really more of a very active and kind of boots on the ground and working all different levels in this field. And so we did just that. I mean, we started a program. I had an experience on a plane where I fell asleep. I woke up to the man reaching across and rubbing, like his hand was on my inner thigh, and he was awake and he was rubbing it. And I was just so shocked, I didn't immediately respond. And when I got off the plane, I ended up reporting it to the airline.
Good.
I
Thank you.
ended up reporting it to the FBI. But I just was so shocked that that could happen to me again. Like in my mind, I was like, I've got to be one of the most well-known victims in America. Like,
Was this like a
how?
nighttime flight in the back of the plane or something?
No, I was in first class. It was a daytime flight, but
Oh.
I had woken up really, really early that morning. I had an event super early that morning, and I'd flown in late the night before, and it had been a few days of just really like intense travel and obligations. And so I was just exhausted. And I mean, I fell asleep on the plane before the plane even took off. So I was just so shocked. And I just thought, this is not okay. If this is happening to me, this is happening to other women.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is happening to other people. Like, I recognize I cannot eliminate rape and sexual abuse from happening, or like, I can't stop these things from happening, but I want to empower specifically women, but really anyone, truly anyone, um to prevent this from happening ever, like, as much as possible. And so that is how Smart Defense was born. I met with different people who contributed different things to our program, Smart Defense. But ultimately, I was connected to this incredible woman. Her name's Mio Strong, and she has so many accolades behind her. I mean, she's won so many things. She's won world championships in her weight class in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. She's done MMA fighting, but not only that, but she is also a survivor herself. And she has taken the time to go through training after training to truly, truly become trauma informed, to recognize when someone is struggling in the class. I mean, she is just one of the most amazing human beings. If I ever write a book, I'm sure she'll be another book. I'm sure she'll make an appearance in there. Yeah, but she ended up coming on and really developing the program into what it is today. And a little over a year ago, we were even able to go to like the state legislature and request funding to put this program into the public universities in Utah. And
Wow.
actually, now we are in all of the public universities in Utah, except one. We're still working on them, but I've got faith.
Oh, you'll get it. You'll get them. I have no doubt you'll get them.
Um, and like, I hope to see it expand far beyond Utah. Outside of the public universities, there are programs that are in Nevada, Colorado, Idaho, and I want to say Arizona, but I would have to double check with Mio first.
That's incredible. Seriously, is she just not spectacular? And we talked for over an hour. So I had to make this into a 2-part episode. Next week, you're going to hear the rest of it. And oh my gosh, she tells me a story of the worst thing a man ever said to her. Unfortunately, it was on a date. My mouth dropped open to the point that I will never forget that story. It was that bad. Next week, and lots of happy things we'll focus on as well. But I'm telling you, you're not going to forget that one. Wednesday on Aaron O'Malley's Feel Good Frequency. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great week.